welcome to your video on adding and subtracting polynomials. By the very end of this video, you will be able to classify, add, and subtract polynomials. It's a lot to cover, so we're going to chunk it. Some vocabulary first, and I'll explain more of this and give you reminders as we go through. But the first thing I want to talk to you about is a monomial. A monomial is a number, a variable, or product of the two, either a variable and another variable or a variable and a number, that has a whole number exponent. And that's basically the key, is that it's a whole number. Some examples here for you are like 18x, negative 4x squared, 2.5x y to the third power, or a divided by 3. Those are all different types of monomials. Nothing you haven't seen before, it's just a new terminology word for you. Then we have a degree of a monomial, which is the sum of the exponents of its variables. 0 has no degree, which is an important thing to keep in mind. And we'll talk more about that, but just so you know what that word means. And then we have a polynomial, which is a monomial or a sum of monomials. An example of a polynomial would be this one here. We have 3x to the fourth plus 5x squared minus 7x plus 1. That whole thing is called a polynomial. So it's usually quite a few monomials stuck together through adding or subtracting. And then we have standard form of a polynomial, which is the degrees of the monomials decrease from left to right. And actually the example of a polynomial is in standard form because the exponents are decreasing from left to right. And we'll spend more time on that as well, but just language to be familiar with at this point. All right, the first question is, how do I find the degree of a monomial? So the first example I have for you is 5x. And as you know, 5x has the exponent invisible there. It's a 1, which means that the degree is actually very simply just 1. The next one you have here is 6x to the third power y squared. This degree, how you find it is you actually add the exponents together. So you have 3 and 2, so that will give you your degree then of 5. And last but not least, we have the number 4. The 4 does not have a degree at all because it's a constant. 4 is just 4. So your degree then is simply 0. How do I add and subtract monomials? This is something you've probably seen a little bit of before, had some exposure to, but not completely. Here's your first example, 3x squared plus 5x squared. Here we have x squareds are the same root, the same type of, they're the same like term. That's the word I was looking for. They're like terms, so we can add them together. So we're going to add our coefficients. So 3 plus 5 is 8, so 8, and then our base x squared stays the same. Here's a subtracting monomial example. Again, here we have the same base or the same like terms, so we can combine those together. So 4 minus, and then there's an invisible 1 there. So 4 minus 1 is 3, and then our base, it stays the same, our like term. So our answer is 3x cubed y. How do I classify polynomials is the last piece that we're going to talk about in the first part of the video. But here's kind of a great chart of what this kind of looks like. Here you have your list of polynomials here, and then it walks you through what the degrees of each one are based on your exponents. Based on your exponents, it will tell you the degree. And then you have a name for your polynomial using the degree. So a degree of 0 is called a constant. A degree of 1 is called linear because it forms a straight line. And as you can tell from there, that is a linear equation if there would have been a y equals. Then we have a quadratic for second degree, cubic for third degree, and then fourth degree is for the fourth degree. So really the first three, 0 through 3 degrees really have the special names. Everything else is just to the 5th degree, to the 6th degree, and so on. And then it walks through how many terms there are. 1 term here, 2 for here, 3 here. This is just 1, and then this is 3 terms, just to help you refresh on some terminology. And then when you're naming it using the number of terms it is, we have a monomial, which is 1 term. This one is actually a binomial because there's 2 terms. Trinomial is 3 terms. Again, here's a monomial and then another trinomial. And if you think the root words bi and tri, like bicycle has 2 tires and tricycle has 3, that's a great way to help you remember those. So now we're going to use this table to classify these 2 polynomials that you see here below. So this one right here, 3x plus 4x squared, the first thing you want to do is place them in what is called standard form, which we haven't really talked about that much, but that's where your degrees are decreasing from left to right. So I'm actually going to want to rewrite this one so that it is 4x squared plus 3x. And remember the number and the sign in front are what move and stay together. So now that I have this, I can figure out my degree and the number of terms that it has. Now, if you look at your degree, the highest one here is a 2, and don't be tempted to say 3 because x squared and x are different. They're not like terms, so you can't combine the exponents together there to find your degree like we could in the previous example for classifying. So that might be a little bit confusing to you, and we can talk more about that. But here, this one is now a quadratic because of the 2. That's the degree. And then there's 2 terms here, 2 different terms, which makes it a binomial. And I can't even spell quadratic. Oops. And then it is a binomial. My apologies there. And then this one here, first thing is you want to write it in standard form. So I have 5x cubed plus 7x plus 4x minus 1. And then you'll probably notice that you could combine these 2 like terms. So that will give us 5x cubed plus 11x minus 1. So now that I've done all of that, now I can classify the polynomial that I have here. The highest degree is 3, which means this is a cubic. And then there are 1, 2, 3 terms, so it is a cubic trinomial. Your turn. What is the degree of negative 7a to the 4th b? What's the difference, in other words, subtracting 2x squared y to the 4th minus 7x squared y to the 4th, and then write 2x minus 3 plus 8x squared in standard form. Please pause the video and then turn it back on when you are done. Alright, the answers are listed below for you in green. If you have any questions, make sure you ask in class if you can't figure them out on your own. How do I add polynomials? This is the really new stuff. So what you're going to do actually is pretty straightforward. You want to add them either vertically or horizontally. I personally find lining them up vertically easier, so that's how I'm going to model it with you. When you're adding them together, you're just going to put a plus sign, and you can only add like terms. In this example, the terms are already lined up by like term, for you, but if that's not done for you, you're going to have to do that on your own. And then you chunk, so you're adding the like terms. So I have negative 7.1x squared and then 21x squared. That will give me 13.9x squared. And then I chunk these two. Negative 180x and negative 140x will give me negative 320x. And then I'm adding these two together, and that will give me 7,700, and that is my answer, because you can't simplify it down any more than that, so you're done. Subtracting polynomials, I want to know the simpler form of this. Again, you can either subtract vertically or horizontally. This is laid out horizontally, but like I said, I like to do it vertically, so I'm going to rewrite this to kind of show you, plus you want to line them up appropriately. And then I'm subtracting 7x cubed, line them up by like term. And then if you notice here, I don't have an x, so I'm just going to you can either put 0x if you want, or you can just leave it blank. It's personal preference. And then, oops, subtract 12 here. And now I can subtract these numbers together. Keep in mind that I'm subtracting this entire thing, so pay attention to signs if you need to. So here I have x cubed minus 7x squared will give me x cubed, negative 6x cubed, and then negative 3x squared minus 5x squared will give me negative 8x squared. So very careful about how you're adding here. 5x minus 0x is just plain 5x, so nothing changes there. And then I have 0 minus negative 12, which is actually positive 12, is what it ends up being. I can't simplify it any more than that. It's already written in standard form, so I am done. Your turn. 2 problems. The first one is adding, and then the second one is subtracting. Please line them up, show your work, and then check in with me when you are done. Alright, here are your answers. Please let me know in class if you have any questions if you can't figure out the answers. Alright, it is the end of your video. Please tell me your favorite sport in the upper right-hand corner in that little empty box, right where it says, right across to the right of the Cornell notes. Tell me your favorite sport, winter sport. Let's go with that. Favorite winter sport. Thanks for watching.